welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we're doing, in our series of Christmas gift ideas, we're going to do some tags and a little box to put them in. So the things that we're going to need, because we're doing a bit of a mixture of all sorts of things, is the lovely scalloped tag topper punch. We need some of the lovely Feels Like Frost 6x6 designer series paper, and I've used this pattern here. They're all beautiful double-sided, but I've used this one, and on the other side has got silver foil, but I wanted the little sort of starry bits and things like that in there because I thought that that would look quite pretty. We need the rectangle stitched shaped dies, and on those we are using the, on these the sort of longer thinner ones, we're using the largest one, the second one down, and the little small one. So there's 4 of them and we're using 3 out of the 4. And then on the well-written framelits, which as I say, I'm mixing from annual catalogue to Christmas catalogue. These dies are in the annual catalogue. Well-written framelits, we're using the word wishes because I thought that that would be lovely. And then on the stamp set, perfectly played, plaid, tartan, whatever you want to call it, only perfectly played. We are using the word Christmas, and I've used that smallest rectangle to cut it out and then to just cut the word Christmas because I wanted Christmas wishes on this. So it will all become clear, but we need a piece of cardstock, and so I have chosen a blue that will match. I can't remember the exact one that I used on here. We have got balmy blue, and it measures 11 inches by, let's just make sure I'm in shot on here, which I'm sure I will be now. Yes, so it measures 11 inches by 4 inches, and on the 11-inch side we are going to score it at, so on the 11-inch side, we are going to score it at 4 inches. We're going to score it at 5 inches. We're going to score it at 9 inches. And we're going to score it at 10 inches. And then we're going to turn it onto the 4-inch side and we're going to score it at 1 inch. Turn it round and score it at 1 inch. So it's 1 inch on either side, or you can score it at 1 and 3, but 1 inch on the sides of those. And that's all the scoring we need to do for the little box. And then we just need to take our bone folder and we are going to crease along all of those lines. So just creasing up on these. Creasing up on those ones. Like that. Then we need to take our paper snips and we are going to, on this little one here, so it's the second score line up, on these 2 we are just going to cut those down, and if you cut just inside the seam line and then do a very, very, very little tiny wedge to just take that score line out, it makes it close just a little bit neater. So that's those 2. Oops, get that little tiny piece. As I say, it's only a sliver. And then on the other side, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So just inside the score line. And then just a tiny weeny little wedge. As I say, it just makes it close a little bit neater. But you are doing a sliver. You don't want to take too much away, otherwise you'll end up having a gap. And we don't want any gaps. So, as I say, a tiny, tiny little sliver on there. And then on this, the top two here, so these two, we're going to take both of them out of the way because we don't need those squares at all. So on this one, we're going to go actually in between that score line because we want it to close as neatly as we can. And if we cut it inside the score line, it runs the risk of it just being a little bit narrow when it closes. So I'm cutting it literally along the seam line. And then we're going to cut those pieces away. So again, slap bang in the centre of that score line. Because this is going to be the top, as I say, we want it to be as flush as we can, and because we're cutting this bit away, so we're going to have a fold over piece at the top, we don't want it to be gaping at all. So if we cut it as neatly as we can onto that score line, and then that's all the bits that we need to cut away. So let me just get rid of those pieces. Then we are going to fold these two pieces in, and we're going to do our tag. So it's the scallop label tag topper, and because this is now exactly 2 inches, we're just going to feed it in right the way up to the top, so as far as it'll go, and then we're going to press it. I have to stand up because of my hands aren't particularly strong. And we've now got the nice little tag piece on the top, which is going to help when we come to close it. So we've got that on there. And then we need to, we're going to decorate the pieces on here. Now, you can do this beforehand or afterwards, but it's going to close like that. So I can put all of the pieces on here as I want them. Although I find, to be quite honest, I'm going to do it once I've actually put it together, because I find that if I've got pattern paper going in different directions, and I want flowers upwards instead of downwards, it makes it more difficult for me to be able to see it. So I would suggest that you just do it afterwards. So we're gluing these 2 tabs in the centre. And again, make sure you've got your glue right the way down to your edges so they stick nicely. Did I get those right down to the edges? Yes, reasonably, I think. Okay, and then we are going to, because we want that to go the other side, we're going to put this piece up in on here, and again square it up, make it as neat as you can get it. And then on the other side as well. And again, just square it up before you. The nice thing with wet glue, it does give you a few minutes that you can get things square. And then this piece is going to go over the top, so we need to put glue on the inside of these 2 pieces. So let me just put some wet glue on the inside of here. Again, right up to my edges, and then some glue on the inside of this one. Right up to my edges, and then we can just put this in on here, and again do one side at a time and make sure that it is nicely squared up, and then take the other side and do exactly the same thing so that you're squaring it up as you go, so it'll be as neat as you can get it. And then if you need to sort of make sure that it's stuck completely, you can put your bone folder inside and just smooth it down. Okay, so now we need to decorate the little box, and I have, as I said, I've chosen the designer series paper that we want. So we have, because this is 4 inches by 2 inches, we need 2 pieces which are going to be 1/4 inch smaller. So 3 3/4 by 1 3/4. And we're just going to stick that on, and I'm just going to look and see which one I fancy. I fancy that one on there. So I'll just put some wet glue in on here. So we've got that running at the front. Make sure I line this up with my bright lights as best as I can. As I say, you can do it out, but I like to make sure that I've got things so that they're going up in the right direction rather than in the wrong direction. So that's the front. Now we're going to do the black. So we've got the back piece. And again, line it up as best as you can. So that's that piece on. I'm always a little bit off on there. I think my eyesight must be going a bit, but that's fine because it's going to be decorated. Then the side panel is 1 inch. So it's going to be 3 3/4 again, and by 3/4 inch, because as I say, it's 1/4 inch border, because I like, you could do 1/8 inch border if you wanted to, but I actually like having, showing the paper off underneath, because it's coloured cardstock. I think it looks quite nice, and I really love these lovely little pattern paper on this. Is absolutely lovely. You see, that's the nice thing with the wet glue. I can slide that up so I've got it in the right place, and then on the other side as well, whoops, that's another piece which is exactly the same. So it's a 4 by 1 inch area, so it's going to be 3 3/4 by 3/4 inch, and then we can put this up on here. And again, just give it a little bit of a slide up or down if we need to. And then that's that side panel. So we've got all of those pieces done on there. And then I've got a little piece for the bottom, which is, oh, I need to check that one, is 1 3/4 by 3/4 inch, because obviously that is 2 inches. So it's 1/4 inch smaller. So we'll put a little one on the bottom. Like that. A little starry pattern. And then we'll have the other little one that's going to go onto the top like that. So that little piece is just going to go on the top there. And that's exactly the same size as well. So you can get all of these out of, in fact, this and the tags were out of 2 sheets of the 6 by 6. Oh dear. That's better. Okay, so that's the start part of our little box. Now, what I have done is I wanted to, that's going to come down like that. I wanted to put the wishes that I die cut out. Now what I've done is I shall bring the tags over now so you can see. So the tags are done with exactly the same designer series paper. And what I did was I cut the that largest rectangle I was showing you, and the in the cardstock, then the other one in the designer series paper, pattern paper, and then I cut the wishes out. So I've cut 7 wishes, 6 for tags and 1 for the front. And then I took the Christmas, and as I said, on that Christmas stamp set, the wrapped in plaid, you have got hoping that your busy year comes together in Christmas cheer. So what I did was I took the die and I put the die over. Let me show you. Have I got the die out? Yes. No, it's the rectangles, isn't it? So if I get the rectangle die out, I can show you very quickly. And it's the smallest one on here. So what I did was I stamped on a 1-inch strip the words, and I then took the die and cut it just across because it just fits, and then all I did was snip the sides down, so I have the lovely stitched border going on the top and the bottom, and then just a straight bit on the sides, which, as I say, I think is fine. You could do it where you could sort of weave it in and you can do it on both sides, but I quite like that the way it was. So I have now made 6 tags, which all have the Christmas wishes on. I then punched a hole using a hole punch just in the centre, and then put a piece of, this was Night of Navy linen thread. And what I'm doing is I'm tucking each one behind each other so that they will go in the box, which is why I've chosen to put them in with twine. So I can put those in with twine and they will go inside the box as our tags. So as I say, just fold the twine behind and just make a little pile of them ready to go inside. So those are our tags. And then on the top, I'm going to make sure that I've got that in first. So I'm not putting them up with dimensionals. I quite like it flat. You can obviously do it with dimensionals if you want to. But I think because the paper is so beautiful and really stands alone, what I didn't want to do was to have too much going on. So this is going to come down here, just in on the centre like that. And then the wishes, all I do is just take the wet glue and just run it along as if I'm writing over the back. You can use a fine tip glue pen, but this wet glue works perfectly with absolutely everything really. And that's it, just written over the top. And then we can just take it on the other side and we're going to line it up. And it will literally just fit from one side to the other. So you just need to make sure that you've got it on from one side to the other. And I've done that with our glimmer paper. We've got glimmer paper in different colours, but I really love that sort of frosty look of it. I thought it made it look really pretty. So that's our box bit done. We've now got our tags, so we can put our tags in. And as I say, I've put the twine down at the bottom so that when we put our tags in, they will fit in absolutely perfectly, like that. And you've got them in, and you've got the, if you used ribbon, it would stick out of the top. And I wanted it to be a really nice box. You could probably actually fit a couple more in there, but I've got 6, which I think is fine. Now we need to close this. So we need to take a pen and we are just going to close that in and make a little mark down on there in the centre. And that's where we're going to put our hole punch. I probably need to take the tags out, don't I? Otherwise I'll end up having holes in there. So let's take those tags out just for a minute. And then we're just going to put the hole punch in. Oh, I might have needed to have done that beforehand, mightn't I? That'll do. I can just get it in on here roughly, can I? Ooh. I should have done it before I put it together. I might have to use my other hole punch. Let me find my little old hole punch, because that will fit in, because that one's too big. Let me have a little rummage around in my drawer and see if I can find my other hole punch. There it is, stuck at the back. So this is my very old little hole punch. And as you can see, it's quite stiff because it's very old. But it will work on this because I can get it inside. So we're just going to put it in, line it up over where that little hole is that we've marked. And the only trouble with this one is that you need a little bit firmer to go in there, and the hole's a little bit bigger than I wanted. But if you wanted to do it beforehand, you could do. So that's now going to go in over the top nicely. And we need to take some, as I say, I've got this, which is Night of Navy twine. I don't even know if we've got the Night of Navy twine anymore, but we have all sorts of different twines and things. And I think the twine looks quite pretty and doesn't sort of take up too much room. So I'm going to take a piece. I'm going to probably take it longer than I need, because then I can trim it down. So I'm going to take it to about, what are we going to have it at? 12 inches. Yeah, I think 12 inches will be about right. And just trim that off like that. And then, because I've made the hole a little bit too big, what I need to do is and this is how you solve having a too big hole, I'm going to cut a little piece of, and I need to do that in, see if I've got a scrap. Okay, so I've got a scrap of this, and I'm going to just punch a little, standing up and getting it from my shelf. So this is how you rectify things when you've made a little bit of a boo-boo on there. I'm just going to cut a little circle out of this. It doesn't have to be completely accurate, it just needs to be a little circle. So that'll do. And then I'm going to put that in on the centre, and I'm going to make in this one a little tiny hole, because I only really wanted a tiny hole. So I'm going to eyeball it just in the centre and make a tiny hole. And then I can put that, so I'm going to thread my take my ribbon through, and I need to put a knot in at the bottom. So it's going to be quite a loose knot, so then it's going to stick in there. Then I'm going to tuck that through this little hole like this. Of course, it's quite a small little hole now. So feed that through like that. And then I can feed that through here. And I know that that is going to hang in onto the bottom. I can put, and I will glue that in, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Then I can put my nice little tags in on there. So pop those in. Make sure our little ends are sticking down. Close the little box over. Put the other part of the twine through on the top. To just close it in nicely. And then we can tie just a little bow in over the top like that. In fact, that's absolutely perfect sizing. And there we have our nice little box, Christmas wishes. And when you open it up, it's full of lovely tags. I'm not going to open it again now because you've seen it, but a nice little gift that you can do for craft fairs, give to somebody before Christmas that they've got them for all of their present wrapping and things, and something simple that only uses a small amount of pattern paper. So thank you so much for watching me. Do come back for the next one in the series. See you soon. Bye bye.